viewers, let's talk about new vehicles. Now, new vehicles is always a object or a subject that we talk quite a bit about between safety systems and different motive power and such like that. Let's take this BMW and let's break it down into three parts. Let's take a look at the engine compartment here. We're going to take a look at the interior and some of the structural pieces, and then the last look, we're going to take a look at the trunk area. Now, why the engine compartment? Well, think about it. It's a focus of a lot of tasks that we need to do, whether it be a vehicle fire or an extrication. One of the things that we need to identify is we need to identify where's the battery. We need to take that power away. Now, if we look at this engine compartment, there's no battery up here. It's not hidden. There's not underneath any of the plastic up front here. This is all engine. So the battery is somewhere else. And we'll try and find it as we go through the vehicle. The other hazard that's readily visible is going to be these gas struts. Now, most of you think, I've seen gas struts for a long time. Whether it's been a hatchback or another type of vehicle, they've been around for a while. Well, in an engine compartment fire, this gas strut is going to cook off, or levy, so to speak. The hardened steel rod down here is going to leave the vehicle, basically punch through the hood or the fender and leave. Now, that could be an impalement or a blunt trauma hazard. One of the things that else you can look up here, as well as we're kind of visually scanning the engine compartment, is it a hybrid vehicle? Is there an orange cable or a bright blue cable present? In this vehicle, there's not. This BMW, it's a conventional engine type of vehicle. We looked in the engine compartment, we didn't find the battery. Now, one of the statistics to remember, approximately 40% of vehicles, the battery is located elsewhere than the engine compartment. And this is one of the vehicles that is that way. Now, if you look on the passenger side in the rear corner, that's where the battery lives. Now, unique to BMW is you'll notice that on top of the battery is a red box. That red box is actually an explosive disconnect positive terminal. And in the advent of a crash or an airbag goes off, that positive terminal explosively disconnects from the battery. But don't think that the battery is partially disconnected then. All that does is it disconnects from the starter motor. There's another positive lead to the battery to power things like the airbags, the power seats, the cell phone, and such like that. So you're still going to need to remove the other part of the positive cable on this vehicle. And if you notice, it's pretty tight quarters. Plus, you had to move out a fairly large piece of trim to get to the battery. That's not unique anymore. You'll see a lot of vehicles that are that way today. And also, you'll notice there's gas struts even in here holding the trunk up as well. So there's another place that you need to use caution as well. Let's talk about some of the structural issues with new cars. Now, we all know there's different reinforcements and such like that. You've heard terms like boron or HSLA and different acronyms and such like that. What you need to remember is there's ultra hard materials everywhere in the vehicle structure today. Doors, door crash beams, dash crash beams, reinforcements in the different roof posts and such like that. Now, to kind of show you what other ways these take effect, kind of look at the door of this BMW. If you look down here, we're used to a latch being here. And in this vehicle it is. There's a U-bolt here. There's a latching mechanism over here. But you also notice at the bottom of the door, there's a hook. Now, if you notice the hook, and if you'll notice where it corresponds to over here on the bottom of the B-post, there's an indentation that's fairly lightweight material. What happens in a crash, because of the vehicle's ability to absorb energy, the vehicle structure gets tied tighter in a crash. The latches stay tougher, but also we have press fittings in some of these doors now, such as you would have here. What would happen in a crash, that hook would puncture the thinner sheet metal here and latch into some ultra hard material behind it. We basically make an ultra hardened press fitting that you might not be aware of. You go and spread to pop the door latch up here, but yet the door is going to be held on still down here by a stronger fitting than the actual door latch itself. And that's just one example of where ultra hard materials play a different role than what we might expect today. Okay, let's think about our ignition switch here. We're used to a metal key, hangs on the steering column. To shut the vehicle off, We rotate it, pull the key out. Usually we throw it on top of the vehicle or on top of the dashboard. Well, what do we do with a key like this? This doesn't look like a metal key. In fact, it looks like a little key fob that you lock and unlock doors with. But actually, it does that, and it's the ignition key for the vehicle. This is a proximity key, basically a wireless transmitter type of deal. Now, in this vehicle, some of the proximity ignition systems, the key just needs to be within the confines of the vehicle for it to start and to run. This vehicle has a slot where the key needs to go into. And let me show you. The key goes in the slot here. Key's ready to go. Now, we don't turn anything or twist anything to turn the ignition on. We're going to hit a start-stop button, just like our apparatus. We're going to push the button in, and the vehicle will start. To shut the vehicle off, we're going to push the button again. That'll shut the vehicle down. And then we're going to take the key out. Just like that. Now, when we get on scene, we want to make sure that this key goes back into our apparatus. So we make sure that the ignition system is taken out of sequence, and then we take care of the 12-volt battery. We disconnect the battery cables, either cut them or disconnect them. Let's talk about safety systems. Everybody talks about safety systems. Now, in this BMW, we're used to frontal airbag systems, driver side and passenger side. You'll notice the passenger side front bag is camouflage. There's only a very small label there in place. There's no telltale line in the dash. But also in this vehicle, you're going to have side curtain bags. You're going to have side impact bags mounted into the seat. And you're going to have a knee bag on the driver's side over here, as well as seatbelt pretensioners in each seating location of this vehicle. This is pretty much the standard of today, whether it be a car, a pickup truck, a minivan, or even a sport utility vehicle. This is the norm for a lot of vehicles today. And think about the possibilities here. You're going to have many more systems that are undeployed than deployed today. Hence the reason why we need to take away the power of the vehicle, so we take away the possibility of accidental activation. All right, to wrap up about the new vehicle here, let's take a look at the glazing or glass in the vehicle itself. Now, we're used to laminated glass in the windshield and tempered glass on the side, yet this vehicle has laminated windows all the way around it. Windshield, rear glass, side windows. So all the windows in this vehicle are going to need to be cut out to be removed. Your center punch is going to be ineffective to try and remove this glass. Now, think about all the things that we just kind of ran through real quickly with this new vehicle, because this vehicle is a good showcase to show all these different problems that we're going to encounter with many vehicles today. This isn't just an isolated to high-end vehicles. This is across the board for most vehicles that are out on the road today. Think about battery location. Where's the battery in the vehicle? If it's not up in the engine compartment, and remember, it can be hidden up there, it can be in the interior, underneath front seats or back seats, it can be in the fenders, or it can be in the trunk or cargo area. 40% of vehicles today, that battery lives outside of the engine compartment. So if you don't find it, a good rule of thumb, a good place to start, always engine compartment. If it's not there, take a look in the trunk next. Think about all the different safety systems you might encounter. We're used to frontal airbags, driver side, passenger side. But remember, side impact systems, whether mounted in the seat or mounted in the door, are going to be there today, as well as side curtains, seatbelt pretensioners, knee bags, and even rear seat airbags in certain vehicles are going to be present too. Remember about power. The important thing today on any type of vehicle-related incident is to isolate the power from the vehicle. The two steps for that are going to, first off, shut the vehicle off, remove the keys, whether it's a metal key or a proximity key, like in this vehicle. Put them back in your apparatus. Find the 12-volt battery if you can, disconnect it, or cut the battery cables, whichever your department preference is. If you're going to cut the battery cables, make sure you take a chunk out so they don't accidentally reconnect.